For many of our veterans, the battle doesn't end when they return home. It continues in the quiet struggle with chronic gut issues like irritable bowel syndrome, acid reflux, and GI inflammation. This presentation is a tribute to their resilience and a call to action to use nutrition not just as support, but as a pathway to healing, dignity, and renewed strength. What is inflammation? Inflammation is the body's natural defense mechanism, a biological alarm system that activates when we're injured, infected, or under stress. Acute inflammation is short-term and protective. Think of a swollen ankle or a fever, fighting off a virus. It's the body's way of saying, I'm healing. But when inflammation becomes chronic, it shifts from helpful to harmful. Chronic inflammation is a prolonged, low-grade immune response that persists over time, even when there's no immediate injury or infection. Unlike acute inflammation, which is short-lived and protective, chronic inflammation quietly simmers beneath the surface, repeatedly triggered by stress, poor diet, environmental toxins, or underlying health condition. It erodes the delicate lining of the intestines, disrupting motility and throwing off the balance of the microbiome, the trillions of bacteria that helps us digest, absorb, and protect GI health. In the gut, this ongoing inflammation can damage the intestinal lining, making it more leaky gut or more permeable. It disrupts digestion and nutrient absorption. It alters gut motility, leading to constipation, diarrhea, or bloating. It causes imbalance in the microbiome, weakening the immune defenses and increasing sensitivity to food. Over time, chronic inflammation contributes to conditions like irritable bowel syndrome, inflammatory bowel disease, and gastroesophageal reflux disease, and even systemic issues like fatigue, joint pain, and mood disorders. It's the silent fire that keeps burning until we learn how to diffuse it. This disruption can lead to symptoms like bloating, pain, irritable bowel movements, and food sensitivity. Understanding inflammation is the first step toward healing. Through food, lifestyle, and education, we can diffuse the fire within and restore balance to the gut, one bite of food at a time. Irritable bowel syndrome, or IBS, is one of the most digestive disorders, affecting how the gut moves and feels. It's not caused by structural damage, but by a complex mix of sensitivity, motility issues, and inflammation. People with IBS may experience constipation, diarrhea, or a mix of both. Symptoms often include bloating, cramping, and unpredictable bowel habits, making daily life feel uncertain and exhausting. But IBS doesn't exist in isolation. Many patients also struggle with other GI conditions like gastroesophageal reflux disease or acid reflux, and inflammatory bowel disease such as Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis, diverticulitis, and small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. These conditions may involve inflammation, infection, and structural changes in the gut. While each has its own diagnostic criteria, they frequently share overlapping symptoms such as pain, bloating, irregular digestion, and can be worsened by stress, diet, and medication. One of the most powerful connections in GI health is the gut-brain axis, the communication highway between our digestive system and our nervous system. Emotional stress, anxiety, and trauma can directly affect gut function. For many patients, especially my veterans and caregivers, digestive symptoms are not just physical, they are deeply tied to emotional experiences. This is why holistic care matters, addressing both the food and the feelings. Understanding these conditions help us move from frustration to empowerment. With the right nutrition, lifestyle support, and emotional care, patients can calm inflammation, restore balance, and reclaim comfort. That's the heart of anti-inflammatory nutrition. It's not about how we eat, but how we heal. The gastrointestinal tract is more than just a digestive system. It's a front line of health, immunity, and healing. Every part plays a role, but the small intestine is where the real magic happens. Lining the walls of this vital organ are millions of tiny finger-like projections called the villi that act like nutrient catchers. These structures are not just anatomical features, but they are the gateway between the food we eat and the nourishment our body receives. They absorb vitamins, minerals, proteins, and fats, turning food into fuel. Each villus contains a network of blood capillaries and a central lacteal, which is a small lymphatic vessel. Together, these structures absorb nutrients from digested food. They dramatically increase the surface area for nutrient absorption. Each villus is covered in even smaller microvilli, forming what's known as the brush border, where enzymes break down food and nutrients are absorbed into the bloodstream. Capillaries absorb water-soluble nutrients like glucose, amino acids, and vitamins. Lacteals absorb fat-soluble nutrients, especially dietary fats, and fat-soluble vitamins such as vitamin A, D, E, and K, and transport them through the lymphatic system. When inflammation strikes, especially in conditions like IBS, IBD, or SIBO, these villi can become damaged. Their surface flattens, absorption weakens, and symptoms like bloating, fatigue, and nutrient deficiencies begin to appear. That's why nutrition matters, not just to soothe symptoms, but to restore the architecture of absorption. So, understanding this anatomy helps us see why nutrition matters, not just to soothe symptoms, but to rebuild the very architectural structures that allow healing through proper absorption of important nutrients. With the right foods, we support both capillary and lacteal function by rebuilding the villi from within. Medications play a critical role in managing gastrointestinal conditions like IBS and IBD. They help calm inflammation, regulate immune responses, and prevent further damage to the gut lining. For many patients, these interventions are life changing, providing relief from pain, bloating, and unpredictable symptoms. But while medications can suppress inflammation, they do not rebuild the structures that have been compromised. They stabilize the terrain, but they don't restore it. That's where nutrition becomes essential. The villi, tiny finger-like projections lining the small intestines, are responsible for absorbing nutrients and protecting the gut barrier. When damaged, they lose their shape and function, leading to malabsorption and systemic symptoms. Fortunately, the body has the ability to regenerate these structures. With these conditions, we need the right nutrients such as proteins for tissue repair, vitamins A, C, and D, and zinc for cell regeneration, and omega-3s to reduce inflammation so that new and healthy cells can form. Fiber and fermented foods restore the microbiome, creating a new environment where healing can take root. Nutrition is not just supportive, it's foundational. It empowers the body to regenerate healthy cells, restore gut integrity, and achieve long-term healing. Through consistent targeted nutrition, we don't just manage symptoms, we rebuild the absorptive architecture of the gut. New villi can form, stronger and more resilient, capable of withstanding future inflammation. This is not just science, it's hope. As a registered dietitian, my role is to guide my patients toward foods that fuel renewal, restore function, and empower the body to heal from within. Nutrition is not a secondary tool. It's a primary force in long-term recovery. When it comes to calming inflammation in the gut, food is one of our most powerful tools. An anti-inflammatory diet is not a rigid set of rules. It's a flexible, healing approach that centers on whole, minimally processed foods. These are foods that come from nature, not factories. Fresh vegetables, fruits and whole grains, lean proteins, and healthy fats are the good choices. They nourish the body without overwhelming it, helping the gut restore balance and resilience. Key nutrients play a starring role. For example, omega-3 fatty acids found in fatty fish, salmon, and sardines help reduce inflammation throughout the body. Antioxidants that are abundant in colorful fruits and vegetables protect cells from damage and support immune function. High-fiber foods feed the good bacteria in our gut, improving digestion and reducing bloating. And fermented foods like yogurt, kimchi, and kefir introduce beneficial probiotics that strengthen the microbiome and soothe the intestinal lining. Equally important is knowing what to avoid. Ultra processed foods packed with additives, refined sugars, and unhealthy fats can trigger inflammation and disrupt gut function. For some individuals, especially those with IBS, foods like onions, garlic, and certain fruits may cause bloating and discomfort. This should be contextualized, not universally eliminated. And while caffeine and alcohol may be part of social routines, excessive intake can irritate the gut and worsen symptoms. Anti inflammatory eating doesn't have to mean giving up cultural comfort. It can mean rediscovering the healing wisdom already rooted in tradition. For example, in my tradition, Filipino cuisine, we have powerful anti inflammatory staples that have been used for generations. Malunggay or moringa, for example, is rich in antioxidants and fiber. Ginger and turmeric soothe the gut and reduce inflammation. Coconut offers healthy fats that support digestion, and leafy greens like kangkong and alagbati, those are dark green leafy vegetables that nourish the microbiome and calm the intestinal lining. For my patients, especially my veterans and families, meal planning should feel doable, not overwhelming. Start with familiar dishes, make small adjustments. Swap white rice for brown rice or red rice. Add ginger to soups and stews. Use coconut oil in moderation for sauteing foods. Keep meals simple, colorful, and balanced. A plate that includes lean protein, rich fiber vegetables, and healthy fats is a plate that heals. Budget is always a concern, and I understand that, especially for families and older adults. But healing foods doesn't have to be expensive. Low sodium canned sardines in tomato sauce offer omega 3s and lycopene. Frozen vegetables retain nutrients and can stretch your budget. Dried malunggay or moringa leaves can be added to soups year round. A pantry guide with affordable staples like oats, mung beans, garlic, and vinegar can help families build meals that are both nourishing and culturally familiar. The goal is not perfection. By honoring tradition and making practical choices, we empower patients to take control of their health, one meal at a time. This sample meal plan is designed to be gentle on the gut, rich in nutrients, and easy to prepare for families and veterans alike. For example, breakfast begins with a bowl of oatmeal topped with chia seeds and berries, offering fiber, omega 3s, and antioxidants to soothe the digestive tract. A cup of ginger tea adds warmth and anti inflammatory support, helping reduce bloating and stimulate gentle motility. For lunch, we feature grilled fish, a source of lean protein and omega 3s, served with sauteed leafy greens and brown rice. This combination supports gut health, balances blood sugar, and introduces key minerals and fiber to feed the microbiome. A simple snack of a banana with almond butter provides potassium, healthy fats, and satisfying energy boost without triggering inflammation. It's a practical and portable option for busy days or post-therapy recovery. Dinner brings comfort and tradition together with chicken tinola. It's a Filipino classic reimagined with a turmeric infused broth and papaya. This dish is hydrating, anti inflammatory, and deeply nourishing, perfect for calming the gut before rest. Each meal is a step toward healing. Together, they form a rhythm of care, one that's rooted in culture, backed by science, and made with love. Ultimately, anti inflammatory eating is about listening to your body, honoring your culture, and choosing foods that heal rather than harm. It's not just a diet, it's a form of self respect and care. Nutrition is more than a treatment, it's a tool for autonomy. When patients understand how food affects their symptoms, they begin to reclaim control over their bodies and their lives. For those living with IBS and other GI conditions, every meal becomes an opportunity to reduce discomfort, restore balance, and feel empowered. One of the most effective ways to support this journey is making a journal and tracking the symptoms. By noting what you eat, how you feel, and when symptoms arise, you will begin to see patterns: what helps, what hurts, and what heals. This simple practice builds confidence and clarity, turning confusion into insight. But empowerment doesn't stop at observation. It thrives in shared decision making, where patients and providers work together, not in hierarchy, but in partnership. When patients feel heard, respected, and involved in their care, outcomes improve. They are more likely to follow through, ask questions, and advocate for themselves. As clinicians, educators, and advocates, our role is to guide, not to dictate. We offer tools, knowledge, and compassion. And in doing so, we help patients become not just recipients of care, but active participants in their healing process. Food is not just fuel, it's medicine, memory, and movement. It carries the power to heal, to comfort, and to connect us to our past, our culture, and our future. Every bite we take is a choice to nourish, to restore, and to honor the body that carries us through life. For those living with IBS and other GI conditions, food can feel like a source of fear or frustration, but it does not have to be. With knowledge and compassion and culturally rooted care, nutrition becomes a tool for empowerment, a way to calm inflammation, to reclaim comfort, and to build resilience. As a registered dietitian and a mother and an advocate, I've seen firsthand how healing begins not just in the gut, but in the heart. When we listen to our bodies, honor our stories, and make space for healing, we move toward wholeness. So let's heal together through food, through education, and through community. Because every plate is a promise, and every promise as a step toward hope. Be sure to subscribe our YouTube channel at TrekFit 523 and discover more important information that can save lives. Thank you again so much for watching.